life. Who am I? And I went to the Christian Bible study classes. I went to the temples, and discussed philosophy with my Palestinian roommate. And I discussed philosophy with my Buddhist roommate. And it was there, that one thing, and everything was good. But it was there, that one thing that I came across in one of the teachings of Vedanta. It said in Sanskrit, Ekam vat vipra bahuda vedanti. The truth is one. Sages call it by various names. And that there's so many different paths that lead to the same ultimate truth. This was one way I came at it. Another way, which sometimes maybe some of your kids will be able to identify as they're growing up. The second way I came through the meaning of life was as I was in college. At that time I was experiencing in my heart sort of a void, an ache, sort of a pain, a sadness. It was what some people call a gap. This gap that was continuously there. And though I came from a very sort of wealthy family, and I was fairly good in education, nothing could fill this gap. And it didn't matter who I was with. That person couldn't fill this gap. There's sort of a void, an emptiness, that what would happen, sort of like, think about it, you'd plan to go to the movie. How do we fill this gap? Well, one of the ways sometimes people go to a movie. And as you start to go to the movie, you start to think, oh, I'm going to go to a movie. You get excited. All of a sudden, the gap, the feeling, the ache, the sadness, the pain goes away. You go to the movie, you enjoy it. And then afterwards, you start talking about it. And you think, wow, that was a great movie. But then, the next day, what I discovered, again, that gap was there. And even in relationships sometimes, you may find that there's one Father Fish, a Catholic monk, was telling me, he said that, Swami, there are a lot of people, some people come to me, and they think, I found the love of my life. And they say they know it because they don't feel the ache anymore. And so they get married. And then after about 2 years or so, they say, Father Fish, I think I made a mistake. The gap is back. And so what I was discovering was, to put it very succinctly, an economics professor described it to me very beautifully about the gap. And he used a very crude analogy, which I'm going to use to you. There was one was quantity and quality. And you know what he used? He used beer, okay? And this is what he said. He said, the first can of beer you drink, he said, it gives you a certain level of enjoyment, a really high level of enjoyment. The second can of beer you drink is not as good as the first, but still it's good. The third can of beer you drink, it's not as good as the second, but it's still good. The fourth can of beer you drink, you feel what we call this optimal buzz. You feel lightheaded, you feel okay. The fifth can of beer you drink, you start to feel like you're getting nauseous. The sixth can of beer you drink, you feel like you're going to vomit. And the seventh can of beer you drink, you feel like you're going to pass out. This is what we call the diminishing economy scales. And everything in life that we try to get to fill that gap, what do we find? That the first time you go to this restaurant here, oh, it was so great, I really enjoyed it. Let me take my friends. When you come with your friends, it's not as good as the first time, but it's still good. And then if you keep coming again, after a while you get tired of it. And you know what? Guess who's discovered the secret of the gap? There's companies like Apple. And what they've done is they know when you get an iPhone that you're going to like this iPhone. And after about 2 years, you get tired of it. So what do? They come up with the next iPhone, the iPhone 8 or the iPhone 7. And then you again fill that gap. And what happens? Again, you're finding that the gap again comes back again. So, this is what this is what I was experiencing in college, that nothing was filling that gap. And I'm going to give you another illustration of how this. So what I was finding is that constantly something was needed, whether it's something from the outside was needed to fill this ache, this sadness, this void. Something was needed. And when I had it, it went away again. And then something else was needed. And this became clear to me when I used to exercise in a gym. And what I saw was interesting. I saw that there was a beautiful woman walking across the gym. And there was this young guy, 20-year-old guy. He just stopped what he was doing and he just stared at her. All his attention went to her as she was walking. She walked across it. There was another person who was about 85 years old. And this man stopped what he was doing and just locked eyes and just followed her. And I thought, is this what's going to happen? The gap is constantly going to be there, and I'm always going to need something to fill it from the outside. Is this what's going to happen? It was a time then, I started, again, this was in college, and then I went to the Vedanta Society, and there I had met a Swami. His name was Swami Shraddhananda, a very old Swami from our Ramakrishna order. And when I got into his presence, you can just feel joy overflowing from him. It was like bliss coming out from the top of his head and overflowing. And when you got into his presence, you just felt love. You just felt joy. You just felt light. It was something, it was not that my problems were solved, but momentarily they were dissolved. Like my awareness was taken to a higher awareness where the small problems of life were not problems anymore. And he was the one then that told me that in Hinduism, the basic tenets in Hinduism, first thing he told me is that you are divine. You are divine. I go, I am? And he said it with such power. He said, yes, you are divine. What does that mean? In the Upanishads, they talk about our divine nature as Satyam Jnanam Anantam. We are truth. We are love. We are joy. We are infinite. This is the core of who we are. And because of ignorance, we have forgotten who we are. So that's one of the things. The first thing is that, the first tenet is that Vedanta says, Hinduism says, is you are divine. And being divine, what does morality mean here when you're divine? Morality means not so much that God says to follow this or do this. Your nature, which is truth, the essence of who you are, which is truth, which is love, which is beauty. If you're not truthful, you're alienating yourself from who you really are. You're not being you. If you're not loving, you're not being you. So you follow truth, you follow love, not because so much that somebody says so, but that's because when you do that, you experience your own true divine nature. You are divine. The second thing he told me was that not only are you divine, but everybody else is divine. And you should treat them accordingly. The third thing he told me was that the goal of life, the purpose of life, why you were born, is to experience your true divine nature. is to experience God. That's why you're here. And the only way you're going to get rid of that gap is if you experience your true divine nature, God. And the more you start going in that path of experiencing your true divine nature, the more you start to become who you really are. And it expresses itself as truth. It expresses itself as love. When I went into the presence of that one Swami, I felt a love that was unconditional. He didn't care who I was. He didn't judge me. It was just love was pouring out. It was his nature to love. That's who he was. In his essence, he was nothing but love. And it just flowed out. So when you were in his presence, you feel your heart just fill up, warm. And again, the experience of that gap, that void, that ache, that sadness was filled. So the goal in Vedanta is to experience that on a permanent basis, to know who you really are, to experience God. And the last tenet, he said, was that all religions, all major religions, are different ways, different paths leading to that same ultimate goal, God. And basically, I'm just going to summarize it here. If you look at questions, maybe, well, different religions, they're different. And you're absolutely right. But he described it that you can think of religions as sort of three different circles. In the outer circle, a lot of religions will talk about the do's and don'ts, their social customs, the rituals, their procedures, like I said, social customs. This is where we differ the mostly. When you get to the inner circle, you'll start to see that we talk about the practices, like meditation, selfless service, study the scriptures, and you find similarities in the way that we practice. And then in the inner part of the religion, of the circle, it talks about experience. When you practice a religious path, a spiritual path, how do you transform? What do you become? What do you experience? And when you look at the saints and sages of all major traditions, you start to see that there's a common denominator. There's peace. There's joy. They experience love for all beings. So this is the harmony of religions. So these are the four main tenets of Vedanta. Let me just go over them again. The first one was that you are the divine. In Sanskrit, we use a term like Brahman. You are Brahman, that which is vast. And not only are you divine, the world is divine. It's because of our ignorance that we can experience this divinity. So the next step is to practice spirituality, to remove that ignorance and to realize that divinity. And finally, the fourth thing is that all these major traditions lead to that same ultimate goal. Religion cannot just stay in your head. It has to move from your head into your heart. Religion is about doing, about becoming. And so, in this sense, you become who you really are, and that is your true divine self. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Swamiji. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you that there will be a quiz. Quiz is different from Q&A. Q&A is where you get to ask questions at the end of this program when both speakers have shared. But the quiz is to make sure you guys are listening. So I'm going to ask you from what they spoke, okay? So whoever gives the right answer will get one of those lovely appliances, huh? Okay, so also a few things I forgot to mention is that you can either ask your questions yourself or you can also write down your questions, which are, where are the forms, Martin? They're at the front. Okay, so we'll pass out the forms, if a little piece of paper you want to ask your questions. And I'm going to ask one more time, so as much as possible, try to stay in the hall and not move about so much, so everyone can be pay attention. And also, I'm going to allow you to use your phones to text people at home that you can watch it live, streaming video at letshearit.org. Okay, it's being streamed live right now. And with that said, I'm going to welcome Pastor Edward Kuntum to share a perspective from Christianity. And please, Pastor, come on.
When I was doing my year 9, my school has taken me to a movie, and the name of the movie is Gods Must Be Crazy. I don't remember the whole movie, but I remember only a part of it. And it goes like this. There is a helicopter, a chopper that's flying over a forest, and they were drinking Coke, and when the Coke is over, they just threw the bottle down. And in the forest is the tribal people. When they saw the chopper, they made a statement that probably God is going on his motorbike. And the bottle falls, and they were really frightened because something has come down from God. So nobody was willing to touch it. There was one crazy guy who takes a long stick and he tries to meddle with the bottle, and everybody screams, and finally gets a lot of confidence and gets the bottle into his hand. And out of great joy, they would just jump in the typical tribal way. And as he was jumping, the bottle was coming onto his mouth and going back, onto his mouth and going back. When the bottle came to his mouth, the air is going into the bottle, and it started giving a whistle sound. Then everybody started screaming, yeah, this must be God's whistle. And from that moment, they thought this is God's whistle. And it goes on like that. In several ways, they try to use the bottle. One day, a lady was trying to break the coconut, and she was not able to find a real gadget that can break the coconut. Without thinking much, she takes the bottle and breaks it, and the coconut breaks. And then she thinks, wow, this is the coconut breaker for God. That's how she uses. And one day, there were two ladies who were fighting to use the bottle to break the coconut. And they were literally fighting, the tribal people, how they fight. And as they were fighting, one of the ladies who was having the bottle, she uses the bottle not to break the coconut, but break the head of the other guy. And she bleeds profusely, and she falls down, and she dies. And then they decided, this is God's gadget to kill people. And the tribal leader comes and says, we should not have this omen with us. Somebody, can you throw this at the end of the world? So they cover it with leaves, hold the bottle, they run and throw it into the ocean, and they say, it's all over. I only remember this part, my friends. Why did I make this make this story to you? When you don't know the meaning and purpose of something, you try to use it for various things. At the end, you get so disgusted, you feel this life is meaningless. It's useless. And that's the reason this world's greatest problem is not AIDS. The world's greatest problem is loneliness. Loneliness is there because you're feeling meaningless in your life. You don't have the sense of meaning. You don't know what for you're living in this world. That's the reason you struggle. You want to find the meaning. My friends, if you look at the species in this world, all the species are of one category, and human beings are one category. The reason is this. Human beings have two faculties which are unique to them. One is called rationality, the other one is called morality. And these two can function only if there is a third faculty called free will. Only human beings have these three faculties. One is rationality, that's the ability to think. And morality, feeling the guilt when you did something wrong. The desire to know God, the desire to know the ultimate meaning, all comes from the second faculty called the morality. These two function only when there is a concept called free will. We are there. And that's the reason all the animals in this world are programmed. You got the word programmed? That means they don't need teachers. They live like that. Kittens doesn't need the teaching from that mummy. Puppy doesn't need the teaching from the mummy. They are instinctive beings. Whereas human beings are not instinctive. Though we have instinct, we are intelligent beings. Because we are intelligent beings, we need Swamijis. We need somebody to teach us. We need Guru. We need somebody to come and teach us. Or else we wouldn't have known the truth. We would have we wouldn't have known what the meaning of life is. So that's the reason we have these debates. That's the reason we have this discussion. That's the reason we have this teaching. Because we are rational beings, because we are moral beings, we have the question right inside us. Who am I? Why am I living in this world? What gives me the ultimate joy? What gives me the ultimate satisfaction? So this is the question. So the question that's been given to us is, what gives the meaning to life? What gives the meaning to life? But if I have to take it in a broader sense, any product gets its meaning from the producer. Any product gets its meaning from its producer. It's the producer who knows why he made it. It is the designer who knows why the design is there. If you are not able to understand the design, you look into the manual. When you buy this iPhone 7 which you got yesterday, probably you have a big manual. The phone might be small, but the manual might be big. Because unless you read the manual, you don't know how to use it. You got it? Unless you know the manual, you don't know how to enjoy it to the ultimate. It's the manual that gives the meaning. It's the manual that gives the sense to the product. So if human being is a product, who is the producer? God is the producer. If God is the producer, the meaning has to come from God. Because we don't have that meaning, we are craving for it. We are asking for it. God has put in us the desire to know the meaning. For example, we have thirst. How the thirst will be satisfied? When we drink water. We have hunger. How the hunger will be satisfied? Only when we eat food. We have a desire to have fellowship. How do we fulfill that? When we have people around us. In the same way, we have a desire to know God. But my friends, the problem is, if you try to think everything as God, then probably you are abusing yourself. Probably you are not able to understand. How do I know who my God is? Now I have to take the route what Paul has taken when he was standing before the crowd of Athens. The logic he used was amazing. What he did was this: if there is a table that is made of wood, I can know the raw material. The raw material has to be a tree. Only from a tree a wooden table would come. When we see the product, I can understand what the raw material is. Now when I look at a human being, I look at human being uniquely in 4 areas. Number 1, we are creative beings. Because we are creative beings, I'm not able to see properly. I'm having specs, or else I can't see properly. This is the creation of humanity. If I don't have a mic that amplifies my voice, you can't hear. That's why we made a mic. We made a sound system. So this is our creativity, number 1. Number 2, we are rational beings. That's why we are sitting here. We want to know what's truth. We want to know what's right and what's right and wrong. That's rationality. Number 3, we all have the moral sense. We feel guilty, we feel lonely, we are having a quest to know the divine. That's the third one, morality. And the fourth one is, we are the only beings. Now let me make this statement. I'm speaking in California. It is called the Silicon Valley of USA, and the Silicon Valley of the world in a sense. I'm making a statement here in California, and see this. Human beings are the only unprogrammed beings in the world. We are the only unprogrammed beings. We have to program ourselves. How you program, with what you're going to program will decide your destiny, will decide your life. The choice has been given to us. That's why I say we the human beings are free. We have the absolute free will. and we need to make a choice. So these are the 4 faculties. So if I have these 4 faculties, what I mean to say is this: the Creator who made me should have these 4 faculties. He must be a creative being. He must be a rational being. He must be a moral being. He must be a being who is sovereignly, who is having sovereign will. That is how we understand. And therefore, if such a God is there, if that God has made me, 2 things I should understand. He made me uniquely. He made me uniquely. The reason is this: I'm the only human being with the faculties I have, with the sum total of what I am. There is only one Edward Williams in this world. The fingerprints I have, nobody has in this world. The retina I have, nobody else has in this world. The DNA I have, nobody else has this in this world. I'm uniquely made. God never makes people like He makes books, like He makes chairs, like He makes products. We are uniquely made. That is what I read in the Bible. So beautifully written in Psalm 139. Can I read that verse for you? For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed substance. In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none of them. What is he writing towards the end? You saw my unformed body when I was a zygote. Zygote is so small, you can hold 5 billion zygotes on a tablespoon. Such a small thing. When I was that small, God has seen me. And He has given everything that should be there. 3,88,000 bits of information is there in that one zygote. And that zygote, if I'm able to unwrap, if I'm able to read into it, it will tell what kind of body I'm going to have, what kind of fingerprints I'm going to have, what kind of retina I'm going to have, what kind of throat I'm going to have. Everything is there in it. It's done by my God. When God made me, please my friends, iPhone 7 is made by Apple. Only Apple people can tell how you have to use it, how you're going to enjoy it. If God made me, only God can give me meaning. Only God can give me meaning. And this was made by 2 people. Let me tell you those 2 people. Number 1 is a man who's a monk who lived in 5th century in North Africa. His name is Augustine. He said, "Oh God, there is a God-shaped hole in me. God-shaped hole in me. Unless and until it is filled by you, humans are incomplete." People who are intelligent as far as this world is concerned, but they were alienated from God. And let us look at some of the statements they made because they could not have God in them. You all know William Shakespeare, the great English writer who lived in 17th century. He in one of his book called Macbeth, he writes like this: "Life is a tale told by an idiot, full of fury and sound, and the senseless end of it is the insult of the tomb." You got it? How horrible the statement is. William Shakespeare, a great man. When it comes to English writing, he is considered to be a different category, but he was not able to understand the basic meaning of life. At the age of 33, Alexander was virtually ruling the whole world. He went to India, he went to take control of India. But when he was bitten by a mosquito in India, he got malaria. He had to rush back to his country, and when he was about to die, called his friend Philip and said like this: "When I die, when my body is taken in a coffin box, let there be 2 holes made to the coffin box, my hands be spread out outside, and there be a boy carrying a placard saying, 'Naked I came in this world, naked I live in this world.'" This is a great man who virtually took the whole world into his hands, and he says, "I'm naked." The reason is this: he was not able to experience God in his heart. My friends, God is infinite. We are finite. The gap between finite and infinite is always infinite. Am I clear? I'm finite, God is infinite. The gap between finite and infinite is always infinite. So, a finite being can never bridge the infinite gap. A finite being can never bridge the infinite gap. The finite being trying to fill that gap is called religion. But who can do it? Infinite God can bridge the gap. And that's not religion, that's revelation. That's revelation. Hey, you're looking for meaning. It's in me, man. That's what I want. That's what we are looking for. I can give that. So we are looking for God to come down to give the path, to give the meaning. And that's what Jesus said. I am the way, the truth, and the life. It's an amazing answer. 17th century scientist Blaise Pascal was an atheist, was going on a cart that was driven by two horses. He was crossing a bridge, and one of the horses jumped up, and his cart started pulling down into the river. Blaise Pascal doesn't know how to swim, so he was holding on to the cart. Somebody came and pulled him up. When he was pulled up, he was asked this question, Blaise Pascal, when you are falling down, what came into mind? Do you know what he said? I never thought of barometer. I never thought of science. What I thought about at that moment is a savior. A savior who can come down and reach me and pull me up. My friends, if human beings can save themselves, why do we need God? If we are divine beings, why we are living a selfish life? If we are divine beings, why we are living an unsatisfied life? If we are divine beings, why there is corruption in us? If you are divine, can corruption be in the divine? That's my question, my friends. Swami Vivekananda made this beautiful statement about education. మానవునిలోని దైవాంశమునకు పరిపూర్ణతను సిద్ధింపచేయునదే విద్య. There is a God-ishness in every human being. And it is the education that makes it complete. That makes it complete. Yes, that completeness has to come from outside. It is not inside. The desire is there. Thirst is from the body, but the water is from outside. Hunger is from the body, but the food is from outside. The quest for God is from inside, but the God has to come from outside. Am I making sense, my friends? And that's why we are craving for meaning, because we are made for meaning. And the meaning has been there because God made us meaningfully. Why do I consider the biblical perspective as the best one, as the only right one? It's because in the Bible, God gives meaning in two ways. Number one, in the conception. Number two, in the connection. Number one, in the conception. Number two, in the connection. What do you mean by conception? When I've been made in my mother's womb, it's not an accident. God made me purposefully, individually, personally. He knows me. And the statement is perfect. I know you before you are formed. It's something like this. If I give a brush to a painter and ask him to paint on the wall, you know that. Before the painting appears on the wall, the painting is in the mind. Am I clear? Before I was made in my mother's womb, God has seen me how I look outside. He knew. That's beauty. So the meaning comes from the conception because God made me with a purpose. Number two, connection. How do I know that? Paul, while speaking to the people in Athens, made this statement. And he made from one man every nation of mankind to live on all the face of the earth, having determined allotted periods and the boundaries of their dwelling place, that they should see God and perhaps feel their way towards him and find him. God has designed where we should be born, to whom we should be born, when we should be born. These are the divine choices, not my choice. When God divinely chose where, when, to whom I should be born, God has only one purpose. And the purpose is that I might know him and have the complete meaning. The connection and the conception both give meaning perfectly in the Bible. And now, the infinite God coming into the finite world. That's what I see in Jesus Christ. Jesus came into this world and made a perfect statement. He said, I came into this world to seek that which is lost. We are lost. We are totally lost. We don't have the meaning, but it's God who gives the meaning to us. How God gives the meaning to a person who is lost. I want to tell you this story and conclude, my friends. Few years back, I was in a hotel. It's on my birthday, and I took my friends, and it's in India, South India, Bangalore. And the hotel fellow said, you have some more time, you have games to play. I have 2 daughters. Elder is Sharon, the younger is Ruth, we call her Shiny. And they wanted to go for bowling. And I paid the money, and Sharon threw the ball first time, she got 7. And Ruth took the ball, and she threw it, and it went along the wall, and she got a 0. And the score was there on the computer, 7-0. Second time Sharon threw it, she got a 10. Now Sharon is 17. Now Ruth is holding the ball. You know it has 3 holes. She's trying to put the 3 fingers into those holes. It fell on her toes. It's very painful. She pulled her leg back, and she was holding the ball again. I knew for sure that she's going to lose. But what to do? If she loses, she weeps. If she weeps, my party is gone. So that's my worry. I was worrying like that, and I was trying to clap and motivate her. My friend, Chandu, he walked towards her, and he put his hand on Shiny, that's Ruth, and he said like this, can I play for you? Ruth took only 2 seconds, and she said, okay, Anna, play. And she moved away, giving the ball to Chandu. Chandu is a big man, and he knows what bowling is. He took the ball, and he threw. He got a 10. Computer doesn't know who threw the ball. It only knows how many sticks have fallen. It gave the score, Ruth 10. Do you know what Ruth did? She looked at her score 10, and she said, yeah, I won it. My friends, why did I tell you this story? I told you this story because we are lost. Jesus says, hey, can I play the game for you? Can I play the game for you? The meaning comes from Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Pastor. It's so wonderful to hear different perspectives. And once again, thank you both. By the way, you can also text your questions to that number. It's written there. If you all can see it, 619-709-5068. I know you all, if you have questions, and you can either text them or write them, or at the end of the program, which is the another session we have right after this. So I'm going to go ahead and start my quiz. Okay, hope you all paid attention, all right? So if you know the answer, you can raise your hand, and whoever raises their hand for the first time, I'm going to pick them. Okay, my first question is from Swamiji's speech, what he shared. Okay, he talked about a law in economics. I need the specific law. What is the law that he discussed? Oh, sorry. I need to get it right, okay? Okay, you raise it first. Are you sure? Okay, go ahead, tell me. Okay, anyone can improve on it a little bit? Well, actually, he did say diminishing utility, but I want you to give me the more like comprehensive. Okay. Law of diminishing. Okay, all right. What do you want to say? Yeah, okay. Okay. All right, even though, yes? Well, that's the exact words he used. Did you?
I thought maybe law of diminishing returns.
Actually, let me tell you, law of diminishing marginal utility is the correct word, but I'm going to give it to you because you almost got it like 80%, okay? Is that okay? Come on up, sister. All right, that's good. Okay, now I'm going to ask you something from Pastor Edward Kuntam's message, okay? Now I'm going to pay attention who's lifting their hand first. In his message, he mentioned two brands. One was obviously Apple because he mentioned it twice. I need to know the second brand he mentioned. Okay. Coke. All right, good. So now you know it pays to be attentive what's being spoken. All right, that's good. Okay. With that said, we'll go on to the next half of the session. So, yes, meaning of life. Now the purpose of life. Purpose of life. Why am I here? Where am I going? Kind of like what I think when I'm stuck in traffic, but this is more than more than that. This is the idea that has bothered us all the time. Sometimes I think, why do we even talk about anything else? It's like such a big question, right? Why are we here? Where are we going? We go from day to day pretending like, okay, this is it. Once I get the job, or once I do this backyard, get my lawn done, or whatever, get my kid into college. But really, there is more purpose. And to talk about that, again, Swamiji, please come on over, and then we'll follow by Pastor Kuntam, okay? Destiny of life.
So let me just interject here that I don't know the answers. I am like you. I've become a monk, struggling to find the answers. And I'm a seeker, like all of you. So what you're getting from me is my understanding as it is now. And Ramakrishna, one of our saints, used to say, as long as I live, so long do I learn. So even today, I'm learning and growing. So what I have to say, we shouldn't take it as absolute, but it's a continuous evolution. He said that Swami Vivekananda's education, his actual definition of education is the manifestation of the perfection from within. Education is the manifestation of the perfection from within, meaning that we are all perfect. But because of our ignorance, we can't see that. We are veiled. We see things through our past karma. We make judgments, opinions. We don't like based on our previous experiences. And it's coloring our mind. It's coloring the way that we perceive reality. If I had gotten into a fight with, say, you over there, okay? What's your name? Jay. And then I came in today and saw Jay, I would not want to go shake his hand because my mind would be colored with this anger. So you know what, Jay, I'd probably end up avoiding you. We call it avoida Vedanta. So the whole purpose, what we're doing, is trying to cleanse our mind, purify our hearts, so that we can start to see the reality as it is. We can start to feel the perfection that has always been there. But like a mirror, it has layers of dust covering it. And so, through the path of yoga, yoga means that which connects you to God. It's union with God. We're trying to purify our minds. We're trying to purify our hearts so we can experience the divine that's everywhere. First, the divine that's within me, and the divine that's out there. So, in essence, what we're trying to do, I'll just summarize it here. What we're trying to do here is, today, you see, we live in the city called, what city do we live in? San Diego. I heard this from Swami Chinmoyananda, etc. The essence of today's, what we're trying to, in Vedanta, is San Diego. Someone told me this. It's where, what is San Di-ego? Where the ego dies and you become a saint. We're trying to purify that selfish ego. It's because of this selfish ego, it has created a limitation within us. It's why we feel finite. It's why we feel small. It's why we have this gap within us that says that the new iPhone's coming out. I have to get it because everybody else is getting it. It's why I need to feel that there's someone there for me, my soulmate. But after a while, I get tired of the person, and then I need to find another mate. Why we continuously need to fill, because there is this layer of ignorance covering us. We need to get rid of that selfish ego through what we call the practice of yoga. And I'm just going to describe basically. So yoga here means, what does yoga mean? Connecting yourself to God, union with God. And in all the Indian traditions, there's so many different yogas. If you go outside here, you'll find there's yoga classes over here. And Swami Vivekananda has classified all these yogas into 4 basic yogas, according to what we call the 4 faculties of the mind. He said the mind, there's willing, thinking, doing, and willing, doing, thinking, and loving. These are the 4 parts of our mind. And with these 4 parts, we try to connect with God. And he called these 4 paths. So all yogas can be classified into, as he said, these 4 basic types of yogas. When you look in the Bhagavad Gita, you'll find 18 chapters with 18 different yogas. But we're reducing all those into 4 types. The first type is karma yoga. Through the path of selfless service, we can connect ourselves with God. We can experience God. The second type is Raja Yoga. Raja Yoga is the path of meditation, the path where we try to quiet the mind. And when the mind and the ripples, when our mind becomes quieted, we start to experience that inner divinity that's within us. Raja Yoga. The third type is called Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is the path of love, where you surrender yourself to God. Through feeling, you try to connect your heart to God. And the last path is Jnana Yoga. Through the path of knowledge, through the path of affirming your own true identity. In the scriptures they say, I am that, aham brahmasmi. I am that infinite self. I am divine. I am that truth. I am that knowledge. So we say all knowledge actually resides within you. You don't really have to go outside to get it. You just have to learn to remove the obstacle that's blocking you from having it revealed. So every one of us in Vedanta will say that we are perfect, we are divine. But the reason why there are so many people who don't act divine is because they're covered in ignorance. They're covered from their past samskaras. Let me put a little chart here. Because of, we'd say, a concept called Maya or Vidya, ignorance, we feel limited. We have a limited ego. And because we're limited, that means what? That means we want to fill something, we want to fill ourselves with something to make us complete. That something is called kama. Because of ignorance, we have kama, which is desire. Desire. The need, again, to fill that gap. So what happens when we have desire? What do we do? What do we do? we take action, which is called karma. So I have a desire for to me. If the desire is strong enough, I take action and go and get it. Once I drink that coffee drink with its whipped cream and chocolate and cherry, my mind goes, wow, this is great. This is pleasurable. This is sukha. And guess what happens? A memory of that experience settles in my mind. And that memory is called a samskara, an impression in the mind. A samskara, an impression. And guess what happens? These memories then, when I pass by a coffee bean or I see someone drinking a chocolate drink, they get reactivated. And what happens when it gets reactivated? A desire comes again. And once that desire is strong enough, I take action. And I take action again, a samskara. And we create what's called the world of samsara. We create a karmic loop here that we're stuck in. And it all came because of the feeling of this ignorance I have within me, that I am limited. In fact, do you know you guys know Buddhism? Do you know there's a term called dukkha? Have you heard of it? D-U-H-K-A. Have you guys, anybody's heard of this term dukkha? Yes? What's the meaning of dukkha? Sorrow. In Buddhism, they say suffering. They say life is dukkha, life is suffering. When you actually look into the meaning, the derivation, the opposite of dukkha is sukha. And sukha actually means to be at ease. To be at ease in the situation, at ease with whatever is there. So the opposite of dukkha would be to be at dis-ease. To not be comfortable with the way things are. And there's always this uneasiness, this dis-ease that's within us because of our ignorance. And that's why we have this gap. If you take the derivation, dukkha actually meant, in Buddha's time, it meant a wheel that was moving around its axle smooth. Sukha meant a wheel that was moving around its axle smoothly. Because in that time, the wheel was the highest form of technology. Dukkha meant a wheel that was bumpy. It had chips in that wooden wheel. So the ride would be bumpy. So we feel this constant dis-ease, uneasiness. It's this feeling not enoughness. There's not enough. No matter what I have, it's just not enough. And I always have to fill it up. So, in Hinduism, they talk about that's okay. There's actually what we call the 4 valleys of life. Because of time, I'm not going to write this. Artha, Kama, Dharma, Moksha. Here, Artha means, Kama means desire. So satisfy your desires. That's okay. Get to the point when you start to get to that diminishing sense of returns, that this is not enough. Kama means wealth, or it means enjoyments. Go ahead, experience enjoyments. But there's going to become a point when, again, you're going to feel that gap. Dharma means the path of righteousness. Do it in the right way. Evolve to that point where you feel that you're doing good, you're being truthful, you're doing things in an honest way. Eventually, that won't be enough. Eventually, what satisfies us is moksha. And moksha here, I'm defining as freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from the sense of pain and agony and the experience of eternal joy, of eternal bliss. And this is eventually our destination, is to get moksha. To be free of all the pain and suffering that we do. You know, it's Sunday right now, on Saturday. So I had a friend. He used to tell me, Swami, I live Monday through Wednesday. I talk about what I did, I did Friday night. Wednesday through Friday, I talk about what I'm going to do Friday night. I end up living for one day out of the week. And when Sunday comes along, all of a sudden work, all of a sudden the ache, if you could experience it, you can feel the ache somewhere in your stomach or maybe in your heart. If you avoid the distractions of the TV, of the internet, because what normally happens is when the ache appears, we want something to gratify the ache. So we call someone. We turn to the internet. We eat. We overeat. Anything to remove that ache. So eventually what happens is the way that is removed is when we turn to God, to our divine self. When you turn to God, then that sense of joy that you experience is a permanent sense of joy. It's not a fleeting joy. It's not something that they say comes in contact with the sense objects and your senses. It's not something that comes and goes. It's something that remains permanent. So the idea basically here, my time is up, is the goal of life is to experience again God, our divine self. Because once we experience that, we will experience freedom. Freedom from what? Well, in Hinduism we can say freedom from the cycle of birth and rebirth, or freedom from pain and suffering, and the eternal experience of joy. Thank you.
Thank you, Swamiji. If some of you are already hungry, you will be eased from that suffering very soon. We're very close to a conclusion of program, so I'm going to ask Pastor Edward Kuntum to please come over and tell us the Christianity's perspective on the destiny of life. Thank you.
The topic that's been given to us is destiny of life. So how do we look at it? Bertrand Russell said, when I die, I rot. If death is the dead end, why should we suffer to live? It's better to die. Am I right? Why should we struggle to live in this world? Probably if somebody is going through pain, it's better to kill the person. I've been to Australia and I was watching the horse race, and one of the horses fell down. And the person who was sitting beside me, he said like this, now this man is going to take the horse outside and shoot it to death. That's what he said. I asked him, why? He said like this, a horse that is hurt is of no use. A horse that is hurt is of no use. So it's better to kill it. And they don't mind killing a horse. But when it comes to human beings, we don't want to die. We want to live. Why? In the heart of hearts, they have a question that there is something beyond death. Swamiji started off the whole discussion, the whole debate with a beautiful prayer, the Taraka mantra, which says, Ashatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mruchorma Amrutangamaya, the three tenses of human life. My past is an illusion, where is truth? My present is in darkness, where is light? My future is insecure and uncertain, where is life? If I get that answer, my life will be cool, bindas. That's what we are asking. So this prayer was made to God. If this prayer was made to God, if I have the answer, am I not a fool to pray to God? We are not fools. We know for sure that answer is not with us. The destiny of human life is in the hands of the producer of the human life. Until I get connected to that God, my destiny is not for sure. And therefore, the Christian answer is very perfect. What's the perfect answer we have in the Bible? The answer is this: infinite God entered the finite world to take the finite man into the infinite world. And how he gives us the choice. If he says, if you believe in me, if you trust in me, you have passed from death into life eternal. That's beautiful. So you have to trust in Jesus Christ. How did he do that? How he has achieved it for us? It's very simple. Jesus Christ has taken all that we call it as karma onto himself. And he died for our sins. And he has established a path in our place. Swamiji spoke about yoga. I have a question about yoga. And I just want to raise that question and leave it to your choice and then conclude with the Christian answer. Yoga was first formulated by a man called Kapila. He was a king, and he was giving that discourse to his Sishya called Asura. We don't know when Kapila lived, probably between 2000 and 6000 years BC. That was the time frame he lived. And the philosophy he proposed is called Sankhya. And according to Sankhya philosophy, the whole world is of two realities. One reality is unseen, the other reality is seen. And that is why that philosophy is called Dvaita. Dvaita means that which is divided, that which is two. So what he thought was this. Kapila proposed this. What is seen is evil. What is unseen is good. If I'm able to separate the unseen from the seen, the unseen will get attached to the Brahman, and that will give us moksha. So yoga was proposed with the concept of separation. That was proposed by Kapila 2000 to 6000 years before Christ. Well, this was adopted by a man called Patanjali, who lived between 400 BC and 600 BC. When Patanjali proposed this, he does not belong to Dvaita philosophy, he belongs to Advaita philosophy. According to Advaita philosophy, the whole reality is one, is only one. And that is what you don't see. What you see is Maya. What you see is not real. So if I am able to get connected to God by separating from what I see is called the moksha. That's the idea. And Swamiji proposed there are 4 ways of moksha. But I don't know why he forgot the 5th way. That is the tantric yoga. The first yoga is Hatha Yoga, which was actually proposed by Swami Vivekananda. Okay, and it was proposed after Swami Vivekananda. For several hundreds of years, yoga was just hidden, buried. But it was Swami Vivekananda who proposed the Raja Yoga and Hatha Yoga. And Hatha Yoga, Raja Yoga kills the desires, whereas Tantric Yoga fulfills the desires. You know the great man of Osho called Rajneesh, he also proposed yoga. He says, if you have a desire, fulfill it. That is yoga. And if you have a desire, kill it. That's what Swami Vivekananda said. That's what Buddha proposed. And I can't understand these discrepancies. And the other thing is, if yoga could lead me to God, if yoga can have so many questions, why should I pray to God? Question number 1. How I, being an infinite, reach the infinite? Question number 2. I don't have answers for these. But when it comes to Jesus Christ, when it comes to Bible, the answer is perfect. The answer is perfect. You are living in this world, you are lost. I came into this lost world in search of you. And I want to take you back into that heaven. How do you take it? The beautiful answer is this. He has taken our karma onto him. If it is our karma that we have to bear, why we should pray? Why we should ask God for forgiveness? Why we should ask God for mercy? If there is no solution for karma, if there is no place for grace, there is no meaning for prayer. There is meaning for prayer only if there is an answer. And that's what we get in the Bible. You pray to God, He forgives you. You pray to God, He removes your past. He cleanses your past. He gives you a new conscience. He gives you a new heart. And how He does that? It's beautiful, my friends, how He does it. One day, Jesus was going into the Solomon's temple, and He was asked to stop by various people because they were asking Him questions, and He was answering them. In the meantime, the religious leaders in that town, the religious leaders in that place, they dragged a woman and they put before Jesus Christ, and they said like this, that this lady was committing adultery last night. If you want, we can show you the video clipping. That's what they said. And according to our law, according to our dharma, she should be stoned to death. We want to know what's your answer. And everybody was picking up stones. Probably you may be thinking that they picked up stones to throw at the lady. But it's not to throw at the lady, it's to throw at Jesus Christ. Why? Jesus has only two answers. Any answer he gives, he will be in problem. Answer number one, he would say, kill her, stone her to death. If Jesus makes that statement, immediately all the political leaders will come and ask him, who gave you authority to give the death sentence? The second answer what he can give is this, please leave her. If Jesus says, please leave her, the religious leaders will come and say, how can you say that? You are speaking against our law. Jesus was sitting down there, and these people were persuading him, asking him, come on man, tell something. And Jesus lifts up his head and he makes a statement which they never expect. He said like this, if there is anyone here who hasn't committed sin, they can throw the first stone. Right from the eldest to the youngest, they threw the stones and they went away. Why did they throw the stones and went away? Because their conscience got pricked. It is our conscience that always raises questions. My friends, you can answer the questions others ask, but if you have a question from within, you don't have answers. That's what they did. They had a question from inside. The eldest man had the eldest background, the youngest person has the youngest background. They threw the stones down and they walked away alone. That's called loneliness. Loneliness is not sitting in a room all alone. That is solidarity. Loneliness is sitting with the people but not able to connect with anybody. That's what we are. We sit with the people but we don't talk with the people. We chat with the people. Why? You might be crying but send a smiley to your friend. It's possible. You can mask yourself. You don't want to show yourself because you don't want to see yourself. That's the problem. So these people felt lonely. They threw the stones and they went away. And do you know what the Bible says? The lady was there, Jesus was there. Why Jesus was there? Jesus was there because he's the only person who is eligible to throw the stone. But Jesus, did he come into this world to throw the stone? No. To stop the stones falling on us. He came, Pavitranaya Sadhunam, Vinashaye Chadushkridam, Dharma Samstapanardaye, Sambhavami, Yuge, Yuge, Yuge. The central verse of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, I came into this world to establish righteousness. How? I want to save the righteous and punish the wicked. And for that, I want to come again and again and again. If he is God, why he should come second time? Anybody coming second time says that he has failed first time. If he has failed first time, he's not God. He's not God. God has to solve the problem with one shot. And God is somebody who saves, who is helpless. He's not there for the righteous. He's there for the wicked. Jesus was the only eligible person to throw the stones, but he did not throw. Secondly, Jesus never asked this question. For adultery, there must be two people. Jesus never asked, where is the man? Jesus never came into this world to show a finger on you. He's such a great person. He never came to show the finger. It's up to you. And the third thing was this. The lady was there. Why she was there? She was bold enough to accept that I am the culprit. I need to be punished. And then Jesus makes a beautiful statement in Aramaic. The Aramaic word for that in typical English language is Mata. Ma. He addresses that lady, have they not punished you? Where have they gone, Ma? That's what he said. He gave dignity to that lady. She is an adulterous person, but still Jesus gave value to that person. He gave value. And he said, where are they? And then she said, they haven't punished me. They have all gone. Jesus said, even I don't want to punish you. Sin no more. What made Jesus to make that statement? What made Jesus to make that statement? Can Jesus just say like that? Can Jesus say like that? No. According to Prahlad Upanishad, Sarva Papa Pariharo Rakta Prokshan Avashyakam. For the remission of sin, the shedding of blood is necessary. Sarva Papa Pariharo Rakta Prokshan Avashyakam. Tad Raktam Paramatmane, that belongs to heavenly God, Paramatma. Punya dana balyagam. Punya means righteous. Dana means freely given. Balyagam means absolutely sacrificial. And that blood was given by Jesus Christ. Jesus died on the cross. He shed his sinless blood to redeem us from sin and gave us a destiny that is called eternal life. Beautiful. As I told a story in the first half, let me tell you another story in the second half and conclude, my friend. Again, this is a story from my home, okay? My elder daughter, Sharon, was only 2 years old at that time. And we were living in a rented house. My neighbor purchased a new tape recorder at that time. So she went to their house and they were playing some songs and she was dancing. She's only 2 years old girl. And the song stopped, and being innocent, she wanted to touch the tape recorder and she could not handle it. The tape recorder fell down and it broke. My owner started screaming at her, shouting at her, because it's a damn new tape recorder. So I ran towards her. She was crying. I took her onto my lap and she was crying and my owner was shouting. I started looking at the bits and pieces of the tape recorder. One of the bits said BPL 1080. I took that piece. My owner said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Just give me a minute." I went outside to the shop and I showed the piece and I said, "Can I get a new tape recorder with this number?" He said, "We can." And he said, "It's $1,800. I got the new tape recorder, brought the new tape recorder and took out the cassette from the broken tape recorder, inserted into it, pressed the button. The song started coming. My daughter ran towards me, looked at the tape recorder which is new and which is playing. She immediately wiped her tears. She came and hugged me. She's only 2 years old. Probably she doesn't know how to express. If she's old enough, she would have said like this, "Papa, it's my mistake. Papa, it's me who did that mistake. It's me who broke it. But you loved me so much. You paid the price and you redeemed me." On the cross, he paid the price and redeemed us. And those who have reached the cross will reach eternity. Our destiny is in the hands of our God. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Now, these things get really passionate. And I want you guys to find comfort in the fact that unless we're passionate about what we talk, there's really no meaning of getting in there. We're not here to agree with each other on everything. We respect each other, but I think it's okay to express your passionate point of view. And for a long time in history, we walk the fine line between passion and arrogance. The arrogance is where you belittle someone. I don't think we are talking, we are now ushering in a new culture, new civilization, new era where we can passionately talk about our differences, share the same stage, and then invoke a discussion, right? Now that is the part that we're coming to. It's a Q&A, and some of you have asked questions, and I'm gonna ask both speakers if you could kindly answer briefly from where you are, and I'm going to read out some questions and give us your perspective. It's not necessarily, we're not trying to settle a debate. We're giving our point of view on the question that is asked, and you know, we're going to briefly. If the question is particularly addressed to one speaker, then I'm going to say. Otherwise, I'm going to let both speakers give their brief point of view. Once again, this is not a full-blown speech. Just try to just give the answers. Both speakers, I'm going to request, give the answer specific to what's been asked. This is not going to be. Can you set it to like Martin? Can we set this to like a reasonable time to answer the question? Maybe 3-5 minutes, maybe, right? 5. Okay, great. Okay, first question. This is for both speakers. I wish to ask how Hinduism and Christianity address the problem of terrorism we're facing all around the world. What's your perspective, explanation, cause, solution, so forth? Swamiji, you may want, Swamiji, you may want to go first. Whoever's ready.
Go ahead.
Pastor?
What's the question?
Question is, The asker of the question wants to know, how do Hinduism and Christianity address the problem of terrorism that we're facing all around the world? So how do you address it? What do you think is the cause, and what do you think is the solution?
According to Christianity, terrorism has no place. Jesus Christ made it very much clear. Even if you are slapped, you need to show the other cheek. And that's what been adopted by even people like Mahatma Gandhi. And Christianity doesn't support terrorism at any level, And it has no place in the Bible. Bible speaks predominantly love. And if you ask me why there is terrorism in this world, I have to give a biblical answer. The heart of the problem is the heart of the human being. When the human being heart is terrorist or dreaded, he wants to see violence outside. So unless the heart changes, terrorism cannot change.
So as you were saying, yes, I think, again, this is, again, according to my view of Hinduism. But, if, when terrorism is not something that we put up with, so there is a moral conscience to do the right thing, and we feel it within us. When someone is, Krishna said, when there is adharma, when there is unrighteousness coming, I come again to show you the path. So it has to be tackled, but as he was saying, the way to change one's actions has to come from inside. So it's because there's some turmoil inside, it's expressing itself outside. So in Hinduism, I think more the point would be, how do you tackle that internal issue? What is it that's causing the terrorists to act in those ways? So yes, you have to take care of the external issue, but also look inside. And why is there unrest? These political leaders, their only greatness is how much peace they feel inside. That's what's going to be expressed outside. If you have a political leader who has turmoil and who has a lot of unclarity, that's going to express itself outside. So the first job is to turn inside and clear your own mind, your own heart.
This question is actually pertaining to Hinduism, to Swamiji. Somebody asked this question, why do they worship animals when humans are superior to animals as per the Creator?
I'm sorry, so repeat that again. Why do they worship animals?
Why do they worship animals when humans are superior to animals as per the Creator, or they're superior created beings? So this is the perspective of the person asking.
Yeah.
The person who's asking says that human beings are superior to animals, so why does a human being have to worship an animal?
So my question would be, what do you mean by worship here? So
There may be a presumption there, you can clarify it. you know.
Yeah, so-
Well, the person who's asking question is asking from the presumptive position where he's thinking human beings worship animals.
right. Again, this is from my perspective, is that I don't see where we're not worshiping animals. We're not worshiping even objects. You're worshiping the divine consciousness. And here in Hinduism, they say human beings are the highest manifestation of where that divine consciousness is expressed through. But everything has the divine essence to it. But I think there's an incorrect understanding in worshiping animals. You're not worshiping animals. You're worshiping, you could say, the divine consciousness, the divine awareness. It's just like sometimes, why do we worship different gods and goddesses? Maybe you've heard of that. Let me clear something first of all. There's one divine presence, one divine God. And that God manifests according to our own predisposition. According to our swabhava, our own internal nature, we we have our own, what we call swadharma, our own path. And so that divine presence, God, there's only one God. Whether you call it Jesus, Allah, Krishna, we go to God according to our own divine, our own nature. So somebody may be, like I said, more active in their nature, in more action, and they tend to serve God in the action. And somebody may be more loving, and they see that same divine consciousness as in the form of, say, Krishna. Or someone may be more meditative, have more introspective mind, and they see that same divine God as Shiva. It's one divine consciousness, just like there's one woman. And according to the different people, we see that woman in a different way. So to a son, they see the woman as a mother. To a husband, they see that same woman as a wife. When the woman goes to work, she's known as a boss. To that woman, when she goes to her mother, she's known as a daughter. So in the same way, there's one divine God. But according to how we approach it, we may approach that God as mother and say, you're the divine mother. I see you as mother to me. Or we may approach God as, I am meditative. I want to meditate on you. I'm as Shiva. Shiva represents the divine renunciation and contemplation on its own divine self. Or you may see that divine as Krishna, because you want to express your way of connection to God through dance, through love, through devotion. So there's one divine awareness, one divine consciousness, but we see it in different ways according to our own nature. But when you get there, you see that it's just the same God manifesting in different ways. But to answer that question, I don't understand the question basically of worshiping cows or worshiping over human beings. To me, it's all divine awareness.
Can I add something on that?
Yes.
Because in Hinduism, they have objects of the god.
Right.
Krishna is always with the cows. Shiva is always with the snake. So that's what I presume that in our India, people, when they see the object,
Right.
as against to Christianity, that they have only one Jesus standing on the cross.
Right, again, so it's that when you see Krishna in the play of Brindavan with the cows, it's to evoke a spirit of love within you. It's seeing that divine presence, God, and saying, God, I want to connect with you. I want to feel your presence here and now. I have experienced this gap, and I need to feel your presence. One thing about Hinduism, that's another thing, is experience is much more important than talk. Experience is much more important than faith. You have to experience it. So we can talk all we want, which is nice because it's helping us to clear our understanding. But again, it's the experience that transforms us. And that's what's most important in Hinduism. So when you see that imagery of God, in Krishna, with the cow, it's just to depict God as love. And when you see Shiva meditating with the mountains behind, you get this aspect of serenity, the calmness of your mind, what we call the vrittis, the mind starts to calm down, and then you feel that peace, that love start to be expressed. And again, all of that is within you. So when I go, the experience is in the proof of the pudding. So when I meet a Swami, like the Swami Shraddhananda, and I'm in his presence, you feel love coming out. It's not conditioned. It's not love that's craving for something. It's love, it's tapping into your infinite source, your infinite divine consciousness, God, and it's pouring out.
Okay, thank you, Swamiji. Of course, I appreciate you guys asking questions, but by the time by now you figured out we're not going to solve everything today. So good thing that we're asking. I have one more question for Swamiji, then I have one for Pastor Edward. So there are two questions interrelated, Swamiji. One is, if we are divine, why do we need God? And the other one is, if everyone is divine, who defines morality? Because everyone's standard of morality could be different. what is the real standard? We have laws and rules in this world because there would be chaos otherwise. So could you explain who defines morality if everyone's divine?
Sure. First question was why God, what was the first question? I'm sorry, what was the first question again? I wrote down the second question, I forgot the first.
Okay, the first question is, if we are divine, why do we need God?
What do we need? Okay. So, yes, good question. And the answer is that, again, we feel limited because of this ignorance that we have, because we are limited. We feel like we're limited beings, and we need to fill that gap. So the only way to truly fill that gap is to turn to God. And it is when you feel the presence of God in your heart, when you feel the presence of God in yourself, then we feel that that gap is no longer there. And God is the only thing that can eternally remove the gap. That's why we need God. The second question is morality. What's the standard of morality? So there's a thing, what we call the universe, when we talk about the creation here, it's not that we say in Hinduism, not that we say that God is the judge and the punisher, and if you do something wrong, God will punish you. God has set up what we call a divine software in the universe, what's known as rhythm. And it's very simple. If you go with the laws of rhythm, you feel more light, love, peace. We think of it more as it's just a divine software that's running in the universe. Just like if I put my hand in fire, it burns. If I do something wrong, it comes back to me. We call this the law of karma. Every action has an opposite equal reaction. So as you do more good things, you find within yourself, the heart starts to open up. You start to feel more peace, joy, understanding. When we eventually look at how divinity at its highest level is expressed, you look at those great souls, the sages and saints who experience God, and when you see their nature, how they act, you notice that they act in accordance to truth. There's truth. They act in accordance to unconditional love. They act in accordance to feeling one with everything. If you're hurt, they are hurt. If you're sad, they feel sad. Because they connect themselves to that one divine awareness, one divine consciousness. So morality is based on simply that if I do some harm to you, it comes back to me. So why I don't do it is because if I hurt, just like if I hurt my thumb, I'm going to feel the pain. There's one awareness, there's one divine consciousness permeating in and through everything. So if you do harm to another, you feel that harm eventually back to your own self. That's the basis of morality.
Thank you, Swamiji. I have one question for Pastor Edward. Pastor, you said it's a failed God if he has to come again and again. But God created this whole system in first place. So if he couldn't get it right first time, so he failed, so he had to send his son. Also, there has been tons of suffering even after Jesus came. So he didn't really achieve much, did he? Please explain.
God made us with free will because we are the only beings who are having the ability to become divine. We are not divine, but we have the ability to become divine. When God comes into us, we become divine beings. That's what Bible speaks. And that's why the statement is there is a God-shaped vacuum in us, God-shaped hole in us. And only when God comes into us, it is complete. Then we become the divine beings. Okay? So that's the purpose of God's creation. Because God has given us freedom, because God has given us free will, we went away from God. We drifted away from God. God is good. Why do I say God is good? When we drift away from God, He did not annihilate us. He did not throw us away. Even before He created us, because He knew that we are going to drift away, He decided to send the Savior into this world. Okay? He decided to, he planned the path of restoration, and that is cross. So after the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, after the solution has come to humanity, why the human beings are not enjoying the ecstasy? Why the human beings are not living a peaceful life? The problem is not with God. The problem is with human beings. God cannot force anybody into heaven. If He does that, then we are not human beings. We become robots. We become animals. We are humans eligible to have love, eligible to be creative, eligible to be moral. That means we need freedom. That's why Bible says, behold, I stand at the door of your heart and knock. And if anybody listens to my voice, I will come inside. The choice is left to us. And that's the reason Christians preach. The reason for preaching is, unless people knew that if they come to Jesus Christ, they will be saved, they will be destructed. And that's the reason I travel all over the world, to tell the people that if you can come to Jesus Christ, you, you can have peace, you can have satisfaction, you can have joy. And not only that, when you die, you have eternal life. But the terrorism in this world, the suffering in this world, it's not because Jesus failed. It's because we did not go to Him. I'll give you an example. It's like a story, but you can understand. There was a pastor who went to a saloon for the haircut. The person who was giving the haircut was telling all kinds of stories. Usually, the person who gives the haircut, he knows the area of our interest and he tries to speak to us. He spoke to the pastor and he said, I don't think God is there. I think God is dead. And that's why there is a lot of suffering in this world. That's what the haircutting fellow said. Pastor could not give an answer. And after the haircut, when he paid the bill, he went outside. He saw on the road a rag picker going with that huge hair, which never was washed probably for 3-4 months, with all that stingy thing. So the pastor called the barber, the saloon fellow, and said, I don't think there are barbers in this city. He said, why do you are making that statement? I don't think there are barbers. He said, why? If there are barbers, why that fellow's hair is like that? He said, sir, he's not coming to me. If he comes, I might have done it freely, but he's not coming to me. Then the pastor looked at the barber and said, if you go to Jesus, He will solve your problem. Because you're not going, the problem is existing. That's the reason we preach and tell, if you come to Jesus Christ, your problem will be solved.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank God I wasn't walking on that street. So it would make a very bad example, right? I have one more question for Pastor. This is kind of even intrigues some of the Christians. Is like, if Jesus is Son of God, then who is God? What does Bible say about the identity of God?
See, in US you have strange names. You have people with the name Fox. Am I right? You got it? When I call somebody Fox, I'm not calling an animal. I'm calling a person with the name Fox. Am I right? Son of God is the name. You got my point? It's not the relation. The moment you think about Son of God, you think He is born to somebody. God is somebody who is not born. The essential character of God is eternity. He is neither born nor dead. He is always existing. If Jesus has to be God, He must be there always. Christians believe that God is triune. God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. And there is a communion between these three. There is a love between these three. There was talking between these three. That's the reason when God made us, He made us with the ability to talk because He is the one who talked. He made us with the ability to love and to be loved because He was having that love. You got my point? So God is triune. God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. All three are of the same essence. same essence, and they were always existing, and they were in one essence. What I mean by one essence? Now think about India. Indian government is called NDA. Am I right? NDA. NDA is not one party. It has so many parties. BJP, Shiv Sena, Telugu Desam, and all these parties. There are many parties, but one government. There are 3 persons here, but one Godhead. And that's what the Christians believe. One in essence.
Thank you, Pastor. Also, I want to encourage if anyone wants to actually ask a question now. You have it, brother. Okay, you want to come forward real quick? Make it specific, objective. What's your name?
KNR.
KLR, initials only?
KNR.
Okay, sorry. Who's your question to?
So this question is to Mr. Edward Kuntam. So he was talking about Dvaita, and you feel that is a discrepancy. And you are also talking about God coming second time, and you believe that he is not fulfilled in his first coming, and that he is coming again and again, right? So I have some information about, I do hear about Bible, some people know that, and people believe in that Jesus' second coming, right? So what does that mean? So you feel that he is coming because he is also not fulfilled? That's what you believe? And you are pointing that there is a Dvaita, because people are talking a lot of discrepancies. And what I do see here is, I don't know whether you forget that about second coming, and you are pointing it out.
Should I answer the second question?
Wait. You are pointing it out that, okay, he's coming again coming. That's a discrepancy, right?
Should I
And
answer that first?
Why did you forget?
Should I answer that?
Why did you? Let me finish that first, right?
No, I'll finish that answer.
No, wait a second.
It's okay, Pastor.
Why did you forget that there
I
is
did
a
not
second
forget.
coming?
I'll answer that.
And you haven't pointed that. No, people are here.
I'll answer that.
Let me finish
Okay,
that.
let him finish his question. Let him finish his question.
Yeah.
And so what I do see is many people giving their own perception. There is a lot of discrepancies, and I think it's not worth pointing it out who is right or who is wrong. Everyone has their beliefs. Let the people go ahead. And because I saw Swami speaking it out that he spoke something, and then you coming out and saying there is discrepancies, there is why he failed, that is coming. I think questioning it again, I think that's not the right thing. That's I feel. Okay, you can go ahead and give your answer.
Be there.
Oh, it's okay.
Be there.
Um,
Hello, Mr. KLR.
All right.
Jesus
let
will
me-
not come second time onto the earth. He will come into the midair. If you read the Bible, Jesus is not going to touch the ground again. He touched the ground only once and he finished the job. Okay? He's not going to come onto the earth second time. He's going to come into the midair. Why is coming to the midair? To pick all the people who belong to him, to take them to heaven forever. That is the finishing of the job. He's not coming again to solve something else, to finish the project. First time he came, he started the project, he finished the project. Second time he's not coming onto the earth. His foot will not touch the ground. He will be in the midair. And that's what the Bible says. Wait. Second thing. Now, Dvaita and Advaita, that is the Hindu philosophy nobody can deny. I studied Hinduism in a regular college. Am I right, sir? Dvaita, Advaita. Hinduism is divided between these two thoughts. It was started by Dvaita people and adopted by Advaita people. You cannot deny that. You better check your history. It was started by Sankhya, who is a Advaita person, and accepted by Patanjali, who is a Dvaita man. And how can you tell that? That was my question. That's all.
Please take a seat, okay? I have a set of boxing gloves at the back in case if someone wants to use them. By the way, let me tell you, the whole idea of this is that we're not going to solve anything. We're not going to belittle anyone. The only reason we say a contradicting statement, all right, is when we see a contradiction. And the only way you can counter that is you can tell them, hey, mister, what you're contradicting is not right. This is the truth. But I think we all have a right to contradict.
Yes.
Now, about the second coming, I absolutely agree that Pastor missed out, but I think he should explain what he missed out, which I think he did. But if you still feel that he missed something, you can always ask him. But the whole idea is that you can definitely contradict, because we're adults, except the little ones here and there. So, hold on. Your name, sir? Please go ahead.
My name is Pani.
Funny, okay.
The whole of the controversies in the world is my religion is better than yours. So I think that's the biggest issue with whatever. I mean, whatever is going in, the terrorism and everything. Like, everyone wants to prove my religion is the best one. And it's just like an advertising, you know. So I think that's what I found out, some factors here. So, which we should avoid. Second thing, what I read from Gita or Bible or whatever, everyone is divine. Everyone is divine. So it's just like everyone has phone, it's just a hardware. It's just a hardware. And what runs inside is software. So everyone is an iPhone.
Funny,
but
I'm going to pause you 1 second, please. So please ask a question. So the forum is not for you to express your opinion. We respect your opinion. We have two speakers equally represented, both
yeah, the
lines
question
of
will
faith.
follow that.
So I request you guys very respectfully, ask the question objectively and directly. I know that all of us have opinions and I respect it, but we just don't have enough time to listen to everyone's opinion. I think it's, and I give the same opportunity for each line of faith, and it's an equal opportunity platform. So I'm going to give you a few moments. Ask the question directly, objectively. What exactly is the question? Okay?
Yeah, so the question is like everyone is divine because it's just like everyone is made up of same culture or nature or anything. It's just the software which runs like sometimes it's corrupted or some people it's not good or bad or whatever. So that's why people are distinct, but what I believe is all are divine, and ultimately the goal of Hinduism is, or whatever I read the text is, to get out from the cycle of birth and death. And the union between the person and the God is basically the yoga, ultimately to reach the final end and make union with the God is what yoga finally ends up with. So, but ultimately everything is divine. So how do you explain, or you differ, differ from that?
Pastor, 1 second.
Or you differ from that?
No, I don't differ. I'll take the same example. You said we all have hardware and we run the software. But the problem is virus attacks the software.
1 second.
And we need
Pastor, 1 second. Just take a seat. So he's going to answer. Okay? Go ahead, Pastor.
The virus attacks the software. The problem is which antivirus you are using. That's the whole issue. So we are here to speak about antivirus.
Okay, I'm going to, right after her, I'm going to give you a chance, sir. Go ahead there. And tell us your name and then.
Yeah. My name is Achint, and Swamiji, my question is to you. My question is, how do you find your guru?
How did I find my guru?
How do I or somebody, I want to talk about me, how do I find my guru? How do I know, okay, you meet so many spiritual people, you meet so many, enlightened people. How do you know this is my guru? And how do you know that you can follow them? How do you know that?
Right.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Thank
In the scriptures it said a guru should be one who removes darkness, one who removes, like in the cave of your heart, who gives you light, removes your darkness. So it's difficult sometimes to find out who your guru should be. And according to scriptures, the guru should be someone who knows the scriptures very well, who's enlightened in the scriptures. And also their character. We don't know inside what's going on, but we can judge a person by their character. Swami Vivekananda used to say that if you had to take one characteristic to judge a person's spirituality, what would it be? Because you can't look inside to see the type of visions or the experience with God. But on the outside, he says, you can see one thing. He said, selflessness. How selfless are they? How much do they think of God as opposed to how much do they think of themselves? So, to answer your question, how do you find a guru? You really have to start praying to the divine, to God, that you're a seeker and you need help. And you keep praying and praying and praying. And then be receptive to how the divine is showing you answers or revealing in different ways. Sometimes God is telling us things, but we're not prepared to listen. We're not receptive, tuned in. So we have to, by praying, you're tuning your frequency into the channel of God. You're taking the noise out of the material world and you're tuning yourself into the divine frequency. And then once the divine will reveal the answers to you and show you in different ways. There's one question I just like to add to this. You talked about grace. There's an Indian concept of grace called kripa. Have you guys heard of this? Kripa. You know, kripa is broken into two roots. Kri, which means to do, pa, which means to receive. In the beginning, they say, on one level, you pray, you take the first step to God. You take the first step. God will take 10 steps toward you, but you have to take the first step. So the emphasis is on doing, kri. As you start to evolve, what you start to notice is that God is blowing, the wind, the grace of God is always blowing. You just have to unfurl your sail to receive it. So the emphasis on pa, receiving. God's grace is always blowing. I just have to tune in to his frequency, tune into what he's saying. And then finally at the end, you know what happens? These saints that I had an opportunity to meet, some of these saints are very rare, but when you meet some, you see there's something that spontaneously arises. You see by their character, by the love, by the devotion, by their face, the eyes are sparkling. You see it, you know it. What you see is that they say, you know, kripa, it was grace all along. God was the doer, God was the receiver. It was you that was doing. It was you that was receiving. I failed to recognize you. It was you that gave me the hardships. It was you that gave me the troubles in life to push me forward when I was stuck. Sometimes negative things are not bad. They can be seen in grace, as grace, because maybe it's the divine way of pushing us forward to get to our perfected state. So, kripa, first emphasize, you have to do the first step. God will take 10 steps, but you take the first step. Second, then be ready to receive his grace. Look in ways that the grace is blowing. And then third, finally at the end, you see, it was all you. You were the receiver. You were doing it. You were giving it. It was all you. I failed to see you. Now I recognize you.
Thank you, Swamiji. Okay, so we're almost there. We're going to have just 2 more questions, and after that, there'll be raffle draws for the prizes, and then we'll eat. Is that good?
Can I answer for how do we know the Guru?
Yes, briefly, Pastor.
In Upanishads, there is a sloka which goes like this: Guru sadhu nirmala hrudaya mrudu bhashi kama krauda jitendriya etat guru lakshanam. For somebody to be a guru, these are the essential qualities. And unless these qualities are there, you can never become a guru. I'm speaking from Upanishads. Guru sadhu nirmala hrudaya mrudu bhashi kama krodha jitendriya etat guru lakshanam. Now when I look at the qualities, the profile of a guru, I could not find a human being who has these qualities except Jesus Christ. And Jesus said, I am your Guru. And the Bible is the manual that links us with that Guru. That's it.
All right, good. Good perspectives. And okay, I'm going to give that gentleman and sister here, you want to, both of you, you want to come over there and ask your question, please. And I'm going to ask you, I know, first of all, I am extremely thankful that you're here, and I'm not trying to say anything politically correct, but ask your questions objectively. I know that we are really passionate about what we believe, and we want to participate, want to make our opinions known, but I believe we already called 2 people to represent, and then, so ask your question, and at the end of it, please believe me when I say I'm really glad that you guys are here, and then, you know, there's no other way we would have it, okay? Please go ahead.
Okay, I want to preface my question by expressing my extreme appreciation for exposure to Vedanta in this philosophy, because I too felt that emptiness, and being raised in Christianity, I went looking for some answers. And I feel like, you know, where Christ taught that, you know, if a thief comes and takes your sandals, give him your cloak. And someone stole my sandals, and I wanted to give him a knuckle sandwich. And then when I get exposed to Vedanta and I see, you know, that would be creating karma. And when he said things like go into your closet, I didn't know what that meant. And when I get exposed to Raja Yoga, I know what meditation and going into that still area is. So I came to this lecture because I wanted to understand, because I know that Christianity came to India before it ever came to the US. And I'm just curious, what do you think is different about what I would have been exposed to here versus what a Christian in India would be exposed to?
Thank you, Gina. You want to
Thank
take
you.
your seat? Is that, you wanted to ask her, explain her question?
Well, I would have limited knowledge of that because my exposure to Christianity in India is practically nil. So I don't have much to say about that.
Okay, thank you. Pastor, do you want to say anything about that?
I don't understand. What's the question?
How is Christianity different to someone in India than it is here? What she's trying to ask is that she appreciates the concepts shared by Swamiji, and then she can relate to it, and then she searched for it. So she wants to know that, you know, when all these things, correct me if I'm wrong, when all this knowledge and enlightenment is available in India, so how does what Christianity offers contrast to that in India?
Bible values cultures. There are different cultures in this world, different languages in this world. There are 6,809 languages in this world. And there are at least 48,000 cultures that are pervading in this world. And the gospel, that is Jesus Christ coming into this world, dying for the humanity, and will return again to take us back. That's the gospel. And the gospel actually goes into every culture. The gospel is same whether it is in India or in Indonesia or here in California. It's the same. But it goes into cultures. So based on the culture, you know, certain times the way you function, the way you say things may change. But the truth is the same. Truth is universal. It never changes. Bible is the same whether you are reading it in India or whether you're reading it in California. It's the same. It never changes. But when presenting the gospel, when reaching the people, what we try to do is we contextualize. We try to reach them the way they can understand. There are two kinds of things in this world. There are certain things that are negotiable. There are certain things which are non-negotiable. There are things that are non-negotiable which you cannot change. I'll give an example. In Bible, there was a person by name Daniel. He was taken from the Jewish world into the Babylonian world. He was asked to change his name. He said, okay. He was asked to change his subjects. He said, okay. But when he was offered food that was given to the idols, he said no, because the first two are negotiable. The last one is non-negotiable. So my relation with God is non-negotiable. But there are other things, the kind of dress you wear, the kind of language you speak, and the kind of culture you adopt, it is negotiable. So it doesn't matter. But what is important is non-negotiable. Non-negotiable things are only four. Number one, we believe in a triune God. Number two, we believe that Jesus Christ is God who became man. Number three, we believe that salvation is through faith and by the grace of God. Number four, we believe Bible is the ultimate authority. These are not four non-negotiable. That's right.
Thank you, Pastor. Can you please come forward, please? What's your name? Go ahead and take the mic. And yeah, come on over. Once again. Oh, you want to ask? Okay. Yeah, once again, objective, short questions. I know that you guys are anxious to express yourself. So in the interest of time.
And Pastor, just I heard one sloka from Pastor. That sloka, what he is telling, Sarva Papa Pariharam Rakta Prokshanam Avasyakam Tadraktam Paramatmenam Punyadana Baliyagam. I heard it from one of the pujari in India. I born in India. So I want to find out who shed the blood, or Krishna or Christ. That is my question. Can you say the name? Thank you so much.
What's your question? Who shed the blood, Krishna or Christ?
See, the sloka says,
yeah.
Sarva Papa Pariharo Rakta Prokshana Avashyam. The necessity of shedding of blood is there to get rid of the universal sin. So, her question is, who has shed that blood?
So when we say any incarnation coming down, it's based on two principles: sacrifice and love. From the infinite, you're becoming finite. You see that the devotee is calling the God divine, and it's out of the sacrifice of the divine, through love of the devotee, that the divine comes to us to help remove any sufferings or pains that we're going through. So God coming down into a human form is shedding blood. God's grace is sacrifice. Sacrifice done through love. Another quality, this goes back again. When you look at spiritual qualities, again, I base it in Vedanta. We're also talking about what are the qualities we can experience, the divine qualities. The qualities of a great saint, of a guru, would be one of sacrifice. Not thinking about themselves, but thinking about others. Done with what? Through what purpose? Through love. With no intention or any intention of gaining anything. Unconditional love. Only for the betterment of that person. Because they feel that we are one and the same. So, to me, that's what it represents.
Thank you, Swamiji. We have one last. Come on over, brother. I know you had to wait, so please. Tell us your name quickly.
Hi, my name is Ashish. Good evening, everyone. My question is actually very simple. I'm not going to delve into deep details. My question is, I'll say why I'm asking question. I'm asking question to you, Mr. Edward. You stated some comparison between other religion and Christianity, right? My question is, does Bible say that this religion is perfect than the other religion? That's my first question. Second question, given the fact that even Jesus Christ was not Christian, he was a Jew, are you the right authority to say that? Thank you.
My basic answer is this: none of the religions, including Christianity, can take you to heaven. Religion is a human trial to reach the infinite. All religions are finite. Only infinite God can bridge the infinite gap. So I'm not proposing a religion. If I did it, I'm sorry. I'm proposing a savior. I'm not giving you a religion. I'm giving you a relation. Jesus came into this world not to start a religion. Jesus came into this world to establish a relation. And perfect answer. That's it what I want to give. Christianity cannot save you. Christ can save you.
Thank you, Pastor. I actually have one last question, which is a kind of summary of the notes written here. I kind of formulated that question out of everything that was written. This is for Pastor Edward Kuntam, and also kind of reflects the majority of Indian population's reservation with Christianity. For the majority of Christian history, the practitioners of Christianity have adopted colonialism and have colonialized like foreign lands and oppressed other people and invaded countries, kind of obliterated cultures. And the Christians haven't set a great example of love if you take the overall history of Christianity. My question is, how do you stand here and say that yours is the true religion of love when people haven't shown it? Pastor, for you.
Yeah. Good, that question has come after I made a statement that Christianity cannot save you. I made it very much clear. Christianity cannot save you. Jesus Christ can save you. Christianity as a religion did a lot of bad things. I agree. A lot of bad things. They abused humanity to the maximum. Okay? That does not mean that Christ is wrong. There are many Hindu gurus who have abused. There are many Muslim mullahs that have abused. That will not obliterate the religion they are proposing. Am I clear? There are doctors who sold kidneys. That does not mean that you will stop going to your doctor. Am I right? So, I'm not asking you to look at Christianity. I'm asking you to look at Jesus Christ. Don't follow Christianity. Follow Christ. It's true. Well, be it Britishers or other groups, they have colonized and they have abused and did all those things. But let me also make one simple example. For 200 years, Britishers have come to India and they abused Indians. I agree. But during that time, there were people who have actually given life to India. One example I want to give is William Carey. He landed in India on November 11th, 1793. He was in India for 36 years. He learned 44 languages, decided to translate Bible in 40 languages, finished the New Testament in 28, finished the whole Bible in 17. That's not the end of it. What all he did so many things in India to lead India from darkness into light. I'll give you examples. Number one, he is the first one to start printing press in India. He's the first one to manufacture a steam engine in India. He's the first one to make a pen in India. He's the first one to start a bank in India. He's the first one to start a college for the women in India. He's the first one to propose William Bentinck to abolish sati in India. He's the first one to stop infanticide, child infanticide in India. He's the first one to establish dictionaries in 6 languages in India. He's the first one to start Indian newspaper in Indian language for the first time. In 1992, Shankar Dayal Sharma, the then President of India, released a stamp, 6 rupee stamp, and he made this statement: William Carey, the builder of modern India.
Can I just make one last statement?
Sure. Swamiji has a comment on that. Okay.
Well, I just want to say, in this sense, that in Vedanta, we don't have anything like conversion. In Hinduism, that we don't convert people. I came to Vedanta because of its harmony. And I was president of the Interreligious Council. We have different religions that we meet once a month. And we have what we call spiritual cafes. We meet and discuss spiritual topics. And we learn from one another. To me, it's about helping me with my relationship with the divine, helping me with my relationship to God. My Catholic father, he'll show me some things about, in Christianity, God's love for man. Where in Hinduism, we emphasize maybe a little bit more about man's love for God. When you look at the eternal religions, if you look at it seems like religions are just different windows which we're seeing the same divine God. But based on our culture, based on the time, based on the needs, it changes. But the eternal principles are always the same. The eternal principles are the same. So in Hinduism, we don't emphasize, for example, the do's and don'ts of what you should do and what you should don't. We emphasize the principle of love, the principle of unity, oneness. How does that apply to the given situation you're in? And then again, within yourself, do you feel yourself expanded? Do you feel yourself feeling free? Do you feel yourself light? If it's taking you to God, it should be taking you to truth. It should be taking you to the feeling of expanding, feeling for others. So, and if it's taking you away from that, if it's making you more selfish, like we said, San Diego, if the ego is tending to get more and more stronger, then you're getting more and more this separation from others. So the basic principle in Vedanta is we incorporate anything that helps you in your relationship with God, in understanding yourself, take. Sanatana Dharma means eternal religion. There's the impulse within each of us to get out of transcend our limitations, to transcend the limitations of smallness, of feeling the gap. So whatever helps you, take that. That's why the beauty of when I went to a Hindu family, one person is worshiping Shiva, another person worshiping Krishna, another person going to be worshiping Christ. In one family you have this. But that same divine they're approaching in different ways, again, according to your own personality, your own temperaments. And the proof is, again, how do we know because again, how are they changing? Religion is a path of being and becoming. If you're not transforming in the path you're taking, don't follow it. It's not doing you any good. You have to have faith, but you also, like an experiment, a hypothesis. We all have a hypothesis here. Now there's a set of procedures that says we should be experiencing at the end love, God, bliss, joy, freedom from suffering. As we go along this path, are we experiencing it? If the answer is yes, keep going. And in your spiritual practices also, you'll find that sometimes the way you think of God changes. As you grow, the infinite cannot be limited by our mind. So as we grow, our relationship with the divine, as we change, the way we perceive the divine, the way the divine changes, and the way we perceive the world changes. So there's no absolutes here. Spiritual life means starting from where you are at, not from something that you think that you are. What I've found as a practitioner is I say, oh, maybe I'll try these advanced meditations. Ultimately, the divine crushes me and I become humble and this is where I am. The first part of spiritual life is coming to know where you really are at, accepting yourself. It's okay, this is my limitations. This is where I am. Now with these things, let me try to approach the divine. Let me try to break out of this. Let me go forward.
Thank you, Swamiji. All right, that concludes our Q&A, and I want to thank you all. First of all, I know that most of you still want to say something, and I don't blame you because I am actually the most deprived one. I can't say what I feel like. Even though I have the mic, I have to be absolutely impartial, and I want to say a lot of stuff, but I can't say. And thank you guys for coming, and I know that it's a huge step forward, okay? Like I said, we're not here to solve anything. We're here to listen to each other's perspectives, and sometimes it may look like, someone saying, my milkshake is better than yours, that kind of stuff. But that's not what it is. It's just giving your own perspective, and it's okay to be passionate. You have to be passionate. We're passionate about Lakers and the stupid stuff. We're passionate about that. So why can't we be passionate about what we believe? We should be passionate about what we believe, and we should be able to speak, right? Okay, so we get to the, now that you're all enlightened and you're light, I'm going to make you guys heavy with the gifts and stuff. Okay, here's a raffle. We have 5 prizes to be given away, and we'll draw raffles one by one. And okay, here's the first one. I'm going to ask Swamiji to pick one.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I'll mix it up together.
Oh, you have more tickets, sorry.
No, not supposed to take
No, that's your counterpoint.
Yeah.
Okay, that's your counterpoint because, your numbers are already. You need to have the ticket to know that you're not enough.
Remember, this is only going to fill the gap temporarily, okay? Okay, here you go.
All right. The temporary gap filling goes to. Oh, where is the number? Okay. 7, 9, 3, 9, 1, 0, 0. Who's there? Yes? Yeah. I thought you'd be more excited than that, no? Okay. Going once. You want me to read it again? 7, 9, 3, 9, 1, 0, 0. Oh, there is Ashish. Come on, Ashish. $10-cup rice cooker for Ashish. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to ask Pastor Edward to. Okay. 7, 9, 3, 9, 0, 8, 0. Yoo! Okay, Gina. Oh, not Gina. Sorry, one behind. What's your name? Okay, Beena behind Gina. What's up with that? 13-piece non-stick cookware set. Okay, I'm gonna ask Johan. Johan, where are you? Come on over and pick the next one. By the way, the reason I'm calling Johan is these are some of the guys who actually helped put it together, the whole thing. And of course, guys, this needs some funding, some help from different areas, okay? So Johan's gonna pick the next one. Thank you, Johan. Okay. 7, 9, 3, 9, 1, 2, 8. Oh, man! Those kids are like, okay. 7, 9, 3, 9, 1, 2, 8. Going once. Gina, okay. Something's going on there. Gets a blender. Okay. Johnny John, can you please come? Where is? Oh, Shamraj, brother Shamraj, where are you? Okay, please come on over. Thank you. Pick the next winner.
I was raising my hand 10 times, to ask a question, okay, then he want to compensate, calling me here, okay, picking this one.
Yeah. I know your question was if you could participate in the raffle, but the answer is no, so. All right, the fourth winner is 7939108. Oh, there you go. What's your name? Sandeepan, great. You've been under a lot of pressure, so here's a pressure cooker for you. Okay, one last one. Can I call anyone? I'm going to call Martin, the man behind the scenes. Martin works tirelessly to put these events together. I mean, Martin, all right, good job, Martin. Okay. All right, so This is for you, Martin. Okay. This is the final prize. I don't even know what's inside. That thing must be really good because we saved it for the last. 7, 9, 3, 9, 1, 3, 1. Oh my God. Jake. Jay.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you spell it?
Jay.
J-A-Y? Okay, good.
It's a surprise.
All right, congratulations. Congratulations. All right, guys, okay, we're almost done. So, once again, one big round of applause for speakers. Okay. Swamiji, thank you so much. And you know you are a picture of composure, and you're really a blessing to us that you came. And Pastor traveled all the way from India, and thank you so much. And we heard different perspectives, and I think, if anything, I think you know, we were able to understand each other a little better, and I think it's a blessing. And we are again thankful that you're with us. And dinner is served. Okay, dinner is served, and I'm going to ask families with children, please go first, and the elderly people go first and serve yourself, and then later on, everybody else. Okay? God bless you.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Bangalore. So you'll go back soon? You have your own church there? We have a church for LGBT community. In Bangalore.